Welcome to Stab the Dragon Productions, episode number 199. This is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, and it is 57 degrees in Fort Worth, Texas. A normal winter's day. Yesterday, it was 89, and today, 57. You know, that's how Texas rolls. We are here for a brief Canadian whiskey tournament that is beginning with 4 Canadian whiskeys that are very common and that the local private club that I'm a member of has these 4 whiskeys. So I'm examining them. Last time we met, we had Canadian Club 1853 against Canadian Mist, and the Canadian Club won. Tonight we will see the leading whiskey by sales in America, Crown Royal Fine Deluxe, go against a former leading whiskey in America. So from 40 years ago, or more like 50 years ago, Seagram's VO, once upon a time, was in first or second place by sales in America. So 2 very popular whiskeys, and they're related. I mean, this is the older brother of this one, right? They're from the same company. Seagram's made both of these whiskeys. Now, the rules. While I do present the history of each whiskey, and we'll look at the bottles, labels, and marketing as well, this contest is going to be determined by taste, flavors, mouthfeel, burn, finish. If there is a tie, then price and availability are the deciding factors. But what I am specifically looking for in each of the whiskeys that we examine is this. If I'm offered both whiskeys to drink 5 nights in a row, which one would I drink at least 3 times instead of the other one, right? So none of these whiskeys are bad, but I want to be able to fine tune it so I can find the best ones. And that's what this is all about. So let's examine these whiskeys. First of all, Seagram's VO. Joseph Seagram entered the whiskey business as an employee of William Hespler at the Granite Mills Distillery in Waterloo, Canada, 1863. And he eventually married his boss's daughter. And by 1883, Seagram was the sole owner. In 1917, Seagram's released this whiskey, VO, as a celebration of the wedding of his son Thomas getting married. At that time, it was a 10-year-old rye whiskey, and it became their biggest seller. And people wonder, well, what does the VO stand for? And a lot of people think it stands for very old, because a 10-year-old rye whiskey back then, that's a very old whiskey. But the truth is, we don't know what the VO stands for. Some people say it's very own, because it was a personal release. I don't know. But is this still a 10-year-old rye whiskey? Not hardly. The hard times of Prohibition hit the Seagram family and the Seagram business hard. He eventually sold out to Samuel Bronfman. Samuel Bronfman. The Seagram third generation, the Seagrams stayed on in the business a little bit, but eventually Samuel Bronfman ran the whole show. And the third generation of the Bronfmans lost interest in the whiskey business and sold out to Pernod Ricard in 2000. But VO has now been owned by Sazerac since 2018. While VO used to be in the top 20 best-selling whiskeys in America, in recent years it has dropped off that list entirely, but it's still widely available. I see it in every liquor store I go to. This is an 80 proof blended whiskey that has a mix of rye, corn, and barley, but is non-age stated. Tasting notes, I get it's pleasant. I get light honey, a touch of corn, some spiciness from the rye, maybe. It's actually better than expected when I open this bottle. It's a very easy sipper, nothing harsh, no ethanol. I do get a little bit of wood, which is a surprise, indicating there's some older stuff in here. Now, it's not as bold or complex as bourbons or even as some other Canadian whiskeys, but it's quite enjoyable. And that's why it used to be #1 and #2 in American by sales. So we don't know for sure what's in here. Typical Canadian blend. I scored it as a 73 with a B- for drinkability. It can be purchased at Fort Worth Goody Goody stores for $19.95, Specs $18.18, and Total Wine for $21.99. And let's go to the other competitor today, Crown Royal. Created by Samuel Bronfman, the owner of Seagram's by this point, this whiskey was a gift to King George VI for his 1939 visit to North America. This whiskey is made in Gimli, Manitoba on the shores of Lake Winnipeg, and this blend is made from about 50 whiskeys. Go figure. Coming in at 80 proof and non-age stated, despite being made for royalty, it does not have a royal warrant. I don't understand that. In essence, then, Crown is the little brother to VO by a different father. There you go. Total Wine has this in Fort Worth for $24.99. Goody Goody $24.99. Specs for $23.97. I scored this whiskey an 81 with a B+ for drinkability. So it's just a little bit more expensive than the VO. All right, let's get on to the contest. I have poured 2 glasses of whiskey in these blacked out Glencairns, but on the bottom there's a sticker, #1 and #2. Crown is in #1, VO is in #2. I mixed up the glasses, so I don't know which is which. But before we start actually sipping the whiskey, let's evaluate the bottles and the labels, the marketing. I find the Seagram's VO to be a very nice looking, attractive bottle and label. I like the smoky brown color of the bottle. A lot of people say, no, whiskey's got to be in a clear bottle so that you can actually see the whiskey. Well, I get that, but something about colored glass really attracts me, whether it's green or black, or in this case, a smoky brown. And I think the label is attractive, classy even, though some may call it gaudy. I do have a question about the label, comparing it to the Crown. This says imported, Seagram's VO, Canadian whiskey, a blend. This just says Crown Royal blended Canadian whiskey. So I'm not sure if there's a difference between blended Canadian whiskey and Canadian whiskey, a blend. That just, the wording there, I don't get. Okay, so I'm not sure about that. But otherwise, and then it says again, Canada's finest. So Canada is all over this. Imported is all over this. They wanted to make that clear and obvious. So I think, you know, that's a very attractive bottle. The Crown is obviously shaped in a kind of a cut glass shape of a crown. Is what you look at when you, that's what you see when you look at that. The label itself is kind of small, and while attractive, it doesn't do much for me. And unfortunately, it comes in a, here in Texas, comes in a Cowboys box. There you go. Sort of a fan, but oh well. I mean, you got the purple baggie there. So which of these do I like the most? I think I'm going to go actually with the VO for bottle and label. And the history, I tend to like the VO's history, but that may be a tie because Crown Royal's got a cool history too. So both of these have kind of a neat history. Well, let's look at the, well, I can't really show the appearance of the whiskeys because the glasses are blacked out and the Seagram's is blacked out, but let's go to nosing. I will start with the one on my left. My nose is not very good at this. I'm getting just some vague Nothing bad, nothing good. You know, very vague sweetness and grain maybe. Not much going on there. Let's go to the one on my right. A little bit more, but not much. Both of these are so vague. So, yeah, that's a tie. There's just not a whole lot going on there. So we will go for tasting, flavors, palate, mouthfeel, burn, and finish. Those are two separate categories. I will start left to on my left and then go to the right, since neither one, they're both 80 proof. Neither one had a strong nose, so cheers. And along the way, I'm going to try to identify which is which. That's part of the fun, but it doesn't determine the outcome. This one, the first sip, corn. Mildly sweet. Corn, a little bit of spice, a little bit of tingles. Mouthfeel is, it's not thin. I'm going to say a medium mouthfeel. No ethanol, nothing negative. But I tend to like a burn. This had a little bit of a burn in the mouth and going down just a little bit. And for an 80 proof, you know, that's appropriate. Nothing up in the sinuses. Yeah, I'm going to get corn as the dominant flavor there. A little bit of spiciness from the rye, probably. And I'll just flat out tell you, I think that's the VO. I think that was glass number 2. I mean, there's a big difference in how these two taste, so I think identifying which is which is going to be easy. Gotta clean my palate real quick. All right, moving on to the glass on my right. Oh, wow. You know what I just said about being able to identify these and it was going to be easy? No. How did that taste just like the first one? Tremendo fabulous. That one, the mouthfeel is a little bit thinner. So I'm gonna say this one is probably the VO. I'm still getting the corn, sweetness, little bit of spice kick to it. But this one, the mouthfeel just seemed a little bit weaker, like it's maybe younger. But otherwise, the flavors, man, I am surprised. Now, I just ate something before I did this. That may be messing me up. Wow. Okay. That was way closer than I thought it should be. So now I'm thinking this one may be Crown Royal glass number 1. And that's off the mouthfeel. Crown's got a little bit better mouthfeel than the VO. But flavors, I'm really picking up on the corn in there. That's odd. That usually doesn't happen when I drink Crown. I'm not getting any maple. Normally I get a little hint of maple. Yeah, I'm thinking that's glass number 1. The similarities in flavor are just almost identical. Unbelievable. The only thing I'm going off of is mouthfeel, burn, and finish. I think Crown has the stronger mouthfeel. So I'm going to say this is number 1, and this is my winner. So whether it's Crown or not, I mean, I came in expecting Crown to win. What I did not expect is to not be able to taste a difference. This boils down to mouthfeel, and I think this one has the best mouthfeel. So let's see. Oh man, this is number 2. I just chose Seagram's VO over Crown Royal. That's why I do these things blind. Wow. That blows me away. I am totally confused by that. Okay. That absolutely dumbfounds me. But hey, did it blind. Now, maybe if I did this over tomorrow and didn't eat before I did this, I don't know. But right now, we've got a winner. I mean, I did it blind. They were so close. I went off of mouthfeel. I really thought this one had the better mouthfeel. It's VO. VO beats the current number 1 best-selling whiskey in America. Go figure. Well, my recommendation then. Here, I mean, I was really all set to say, why does VO even exist anymore? I mean, when I was sampling this and doing a review of this a few weeks ago, I liked it. It was okay. I rated it higher or lower than Crown Royal. I rated Crown Royal higher. But here in the blind test, it won. So my recommendation, give VO a try. I mean, don't just go, well, that's what my grandfather drank, and I'm not going to go near it. It just, I mean, this blew me away. Okay, well, what I do for the winner is we do a cocktail for the winner. So hold on, and I'm going to put together a little cocktail. All right, I've got some Canada Dry ginger ale, diet, 0 sugar, whatever. I've got my Tom Collins glass filled with ice. Pour in some of this ginger ale. And then I'm going to measure my whiskey. Just like that. A little bit more ginger ale. And top it off with a little bit more whiskey. There you go. So this is, I've done this with VO before, this kind of a cocktail, and it really seems to work with the ginger ale quite nicely. So that's why we're doing this. And the glass is completely frozen up. I have my glass in the freezer too. So there you go. All right, a cocktail for the winner. Seagram's VO. beat Crown Royal. And that is a nice, refreshing cocktail. Good use for VO. Although I like sipping it. I mean, sipping it neat's fine. Most people I know would put that in a cocktail, but it works for me. All right, what's next? I've got 2 winners and 2 losers. So what we'll do next week is Crown Royal versus Canadian Mist, the 2 losers. We'll do the losers bracket first. This is Stab the Dragon, out here.